Hey everybody, welcome to the Players Take episode 52. I am your host Justin D. Simone, joined by my co-host, the returned Keyblade Master, Montrell Rice. How you doing, man?
Gotta help the sword, guys. I gotta defeat the Heartless.
That goofy impression is so bad.
It was.
Let me do it for you, okay?
No.
Sword, we're gonna stop the Heartless.
I'm alright. How you doing, Goofy?
I'm good, Montrell.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, I'm doing good, man. Just life is going, it's a grind. It's a grind. Every day's a grind. Just got to get through every day,
Yeah, I just want to mention this before the podcast, but I did want to give my condolences to the Bryant family,
the late great Kobe Bryant and his daughter and all the other 7 people on that helicopter. That was a really unfortunate news this weekend, but I'm sure you've heard about it unless you literally don't go on the internet. So
yeah, pretty sad, but I wish the Bryant family the best and all the other 7 victims as well. Hope their families can get through this.
Indeed, well said. All right. For those of you who haven't listened before, The Players Take is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and your favorite podcast app of choice. Let's get started like we always do with what we've been playing. You know what? I'm going to go first this week.
Yeah, you should go first.
What is that supposed to mean? No, I know why. I'll start with PUBG. We've both been playing this a little bit. We've probably played, 3 times, I guess, since the last episode?
Yeah.
Wednesday, Friday, yesterday?
Yep.
Something like that?
Yeah, sounds like
yeah, we've been playing the new map in PUBG, and I really wanted to talk about this again because I think I'm just, really surprised at how much I'm enjoying the new map, honestly. Do you feel the same way? Because, dude, I feel like this completely changed this game for me in, a good way.
Yeah, I was just about to say that this changed the vibes for me as far as playing this game, the dynamic of playing this game. I can't even go back to the old maps. Unfortunately,
right, we tried last night, and it was we were complaining the whole time.
We tried to get Sandhawk, but it was just too much of a smorgasbord to either get Miramar or Erangel. Because they took Vikendi off to redesign that map a little bit and work on it. I think they're going to make it more like Vikendi, or not Vikendi, but Kerrigan. But yeah, the maps are just too big, and I can understand why people, after playing Kerrigan, I now see why people don't like PUBG. I can understand playing it for 15-20 minutes on one map, not having an engagement, and then instantly getting killed when you're the last top 15.
I don't know why it took me this long for me to realize what you just said.
We're stubborn.
Well, no, I think it's a thing. I do enjoy that experience, and I think we'll go back and play those maps someday. I just think right now, Kerrigan has totally changed the game for PUBG in a way that I've been looking for, because we always played in a way where we would avoid people and we would try not to engage, and we were kind of that team where we would sneak around and not really fight people unless we were forced to. I don't want to play that way. I've never really liked playing that way, but it just kind of makes sense though. The way the game's designed, you're not really encouraged to fight. There's no advantage to fighting. There's no reward to fighting. So doing it is going to get you killed most of the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whereas with Kerrigan, the map is so small that, dude, and there's so few places to go that are actually worthwhile that it's
you're literally fighting for your survival.
It's constant combat in a really good way, I think. And it just, I think last night's session really accentuated this for us when we went back and played the old maps. That, dude, it's just, it's high-speed gameplay now in a kind of sim-esque shooter, and I really like it. There's no huge, long stretches of the game where you're running for 5 minutes straight, and not doing anything. It just doesn't happen that way. There's people around you all the time. It's just the way that map is because it's so small. You can... It's revolutionized the game in a really good way for me.
Unfortunately, the Reddit does not agree with you on that, and the PUBG forums. Unfortunately,
go play Escape from Tarkov or some shit, bro.
I think Escape from Tarkov has more action than Erangel and Miramar, in my opinion. Yeah, I've been watching gameplay of Escape from Tarkov, and
Yeah.
it just seems to have a little bit more maybe because those are more condensed areas. They're more like arenas. Whereas this game, Miramar, is fucking huge.
It's an obscenely large map.
Yeah.
Like, ridiculous.
And like you were saying, or like we were saying earlier, I was just thinking, I don't know how they would solve that issue. Like, how would you get players to come back to Erangel and Miramar?
Like players like us?
Yeah.
Well, there's a few things you can do. So I think one of them is, I don't know if they're ever going to do this, but maybe increase the player count. That's one thing they could do. I don't know if it's possible for them to do it. I don't know if the game can handle it.
Yeah.
But that's obviously one direction they could go. A second direction is to, I think they had an idea. For one, they could bring something like the black zones in, I think.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
But I don't think it would solve the problem though, because the map is so big that destroying one complex, it's not going to do anything. Because think about the first game we played on Erangel, right? Like, we didn't see anybody until fucking like 20 minutes, bro. And it's like, what if Gatka had gotten destroyed by a black zone? Like, would it have mattered? We would have just moved to the next zone and not seen anybody,
exactly,
you know?
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have that big of an impact on its own. But I think combine this with an idea that they were thinking of that I remember reading about. I think we talked about it on the show. Like, they were talking about having a circle within the circle, that there would be a blue zone within the circle that you couldn't go in, and it would hurt you, like if you were outside the gas. So you're basically constricting the arena to a certain like spot, like a much smaller area on the map than what you have currently, and that would force players together and make them fight more. Because you would be forced into engagements more often. I just think that sounds really appealing to me, and I think it could help those maps big time. I think another problem these maps have, though, is that, and Erangel is particularly bad about this, I just think the topography of that map is just not good in a lot of situations because it is so fucking flat in huge sections of the map where, dude, you have no cover. If you have to run across a stretch of that map, you better hope no one's near you. Because you're just going to get fired on and killed. Like, it's...
So one thing I was thinking they could do that wouldn't really increase the bandwidth or anything like that, or it shouldn't cause any high latency or anything like that, they can add AIs to the game where... I think you had this idea, or maybe we just talked about it off mic, where they can have like certain bases that you have to take over from the AI, and you get really good weapons from it. But all that firing can attract other players as well to go to set bases and things of that nature. Because I think Miramar and Erangel have the setups to where they look like NPC bases can be set up there, just chilling out, and you can raid them. And I think that would alleviate some of the action in between PvP, have a little PvE in there as well. I don't know what other game did it, but I remember that was a thing. I think Titanfall did it. Well, they had NPCs on the map. It was 6 players, but the maps were so big that they included other NPCs that like players can target and then get their Titanfalls faster and everything of that nature. And it made the map more livelier. So when you did encounter a pilot, that 1v1 with the pilot, and you saw like your little minion guys fighting him and then his minion guys, it just made it really dynamic and really fun. You didn't feel like there was a dull moment. Whereas I think PUBG can kind of learn from that and do that if they want to keep these large size maps. Because as of right now, I don't see any, after playing it last night, because I'm actually glad we did it, just to compare and contrast. I honestly do not see any advantage of going to Erangel or Miramax if you just don't if you don't like that high octane action, then but if you want action, you want to jump in and get a couple quick games, Miramax is, I'm not Miramax, but I don't know why I'm saying, like a movie company, Miramar but Kerrigan is the perfect thing for like people like us, right? We want to come home, play a couple quick games before we go to bed, and then we go to sleep.
Yeah, well, I don't want to play for 35 minutes and never fight anybody. It's not really a fun experience. And I think part of our problem with the old maps is we have these drop zones that we go to that are really on the far edges of the map a lot of the time. And that's probably something we need to change up if we're going to play those maps. But it doesn't really fix the problem because even if you drop hot, if you're the last one standing, you're just kind of waiting in the middle for other people.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
The only way to make the game engaging is to drive around the map, find people, and kill them. And in doing that, you're at a huge disadvantage. You need to be way better than the people you're trying to chase down to beat them, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. It's a hard problem to solve. I think it's something. I think they're thinking about it because I think clearly Karrakin's design. They clearly want to make the game faster and more. I think more like Apex in terms of its pace. Because it can be definitely. It definitely feels like a snooze fest at certain points. Like both of those games last night, man, were so bad. We were standing on the mountain in Erangel, and we didn't see anyone for 10 minutes. We were just shooting in the air. We blew our tires out of our vehicle because we were bored. We started firing at this dude at he was at one of the sniper towers, and he just
did not come out.
He just hid there. He hid behind the building and never came out. He didn't come out for like 15 minutes. It was like wild. So it's just, I don't know, that those maps just discourage risky play, and I mean we ended up dying too because we were making so much noise. Everybody was like centered on us. So it's like,
but we did. I got a couple kills before I died, but yeah. I mean, even still though, right? Let's say they do incorporate everything we just said. The problem is the loot. Like,
my god.
I love going to every building and carrying it and coming out with something. I come out with either some kind of attachment I need, some kind of body armor I need, backpack, whatever. I come out with something. In Kerrigan or in Erangel and Miramar, you can go sometime. This has happened. We went to 2 or 3 villages and found nothing. I mean, we got lucky this time with Erangel.
Dude, I went into entire buildings and there was nothing in them. It was crazy.
They need to up the loot, and people on the Reddits and things of that nature are against that. But bro,
I don't feel like they're the majority, man.
Yeah, man.
I don't know. Well, I think too. I do want to say about Karrakin because when we were playing it on test, the loot was interesting because it was like distributed in an interesting way.
Yeah, it was.
Where there are these bunkers that you can blow holes in, and then there are these buildings that are closed, and you have to blow a hole in to get into them. And they're basically loot rooms and loot caves. And before they were pretty much guaranteed to have sniper rifles, scopes, all this shit, which they still do now, but the way it worked was the buildings that were fully accessible that you didn't need sticky bombs for, they had crappier loot. There were very few sniper rifles. Scopes were really hard to come by. It was really just ARs. And I think the map, because right before the map went live, they changed it where they put sniper rifles and scopes and all sorts of shit all over the map. The whole map is just a loot fest. It's ridiculous. You walk into a room and you can fucking equip an entire squad just in one building. That's how crazy some of the loot is there. And I didn't like it at first, but the more we've played, I'm kind of getting around to I don't mind because I get to just play the game now. We're just fighting, dude. And I don't feel like I'm at a disadvantage, and it's really coming down to skill at this point, and I kind of enjoy that. And we are winning a lot more games on this map than we ever have on the others.
Because we're getting a lot more practice. We're getting a lot more at firefights. We're understanding our tactics, our strengths and weaknesses within each squad member. Because we play the same. It's the same 4 people that play with us, or 2 people that play with us. So we have a squad of 4, and we realize our strengths and weaknesses, and we're just learning how to play the game. I feel like we don't get that unless we constantly do hot drops on Miramar.
And those aren't fun because you'll go into a building and then you won't have a weapon and you just die.
Exactly. So even if they do that, I do need to buff the loot on the big maps. They need to buff them big time. Right. If you're gonna have these huge maps, give me a reason to loot up, boot up, and then drive off. I want a car in every village. So if it is 1 car in every village, if there's 2 teams there, they have to fight for that car. There's simple ways to do stuff like that.
This is going to be my last point. You know how they advertise this game in the way they hype this game up where it's chaos and there's shit going on everywhere and there's vehicles driving through and there's fucking rocket launchers and shit and all sorts of crazy shit happening. They need to make that the game. because that's not the game. And I feel like Karrakin's the first map they've ever made where that actually kind of feels like the game.
Yeah.
Because it is really chaotic. Everybody's got crazy weapon loadouts and all sorts of crazy shit. It's just bonkers. You know, it's like, I feel like the other maps, like you said, put vehicles in every fucking complex. Make it so that, like, driving around and firing from your fucking vehicles, like, advantageous. Like, pushing people is advantageous. Like, create mechanics that make that advantageous. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
That reward you. So, I don't know. All right. Otherwise, I've been playing. I played a little Fire Emblem. Not much to say there. A little bit of Mass Effect 2. Only like 2 or 3 hours.
Okay.
I haven't gotten far enough where I want to talk about that game yet. Because I've been distracted by DBZ Kakarot some more. So I do want to kind of follow up on the discussion I had with Dennison last week about this. It's not much more to say about it, but I have gotten through a large portion of the Frieza saga.
Okay.
And I think the thing I'm coming away with this game is I like the game. I still like all the things I said last week, but the more I play it, the more annoyed I get by how restricted it is. You just feel like... I just feel like the game isn't open enough when you're in the sagas, dude. Like, you can't do anything. Like, there's no reason to explore during the sagas, man. There's very little side stuff. There's maybe a couple side missions every hour or two, you know, and then, like, the collectibles you can find are useless for the most part, and they're not valuable. They don't really make me want to do them. And you can't gain enough experience grinding outside of the main battles to even make it feasible to do it. So I think it's a huge miss with this game, and it's kind of turning it into a slog for me. Like, I'm almost like annoyed. Like, I don't want to fight. Like, it's just, there's so many fights, and it's like, I want to just explore, man. You know, I want to play like an open world Dragon Ball Z RPG. And that's not what this game is, you know? And it's kind of unfortunate because that's what they kind of sold it as.
They kind of advertised it like that, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the only time you get to do that is after you beat the game, like post-game, and during the intermissions. That's really the only time you get to do that, and it's like, it's kind of unfortunate that they designed it that way. So
yeah, that's kind of what I was afraid of, honestly.
Which sucks because they're not going to make this game again. You know, it's like it is what it is. This was their attempt, and it's like, it's just disappointing to think that, like, is this really the best that Namco can do with a game like this? Like,
I think the game sold pretty well, so they might make a part 2.
Yeah, but it'll probably be like Super or something. It's not going to be Dragon Ball Z again.
Yeah,
you know, they're not going to do these arcs again, and that's the thing that sucks. Like, because I think the content that's there is really good. It's just the way it's structured is not. You know, it's like. It's really railroady. You just feel railroaded the whole time. You know, you don't feel encouraged to explore because they give you these things. Like, they introduce these villainous enemies early in the game, and they're like 20 levels higher than you, and you can't fight them for like 20 fucking hours, like, reasonably, because they're all like 20 levels higher than you. They kill you in one hit, and you can't even hit them. Like, it's like a really stupid mechanic that they, like, I'm like, why did you introduce these at this point in the game? You know, and they really drip feed you mechanics because Dennison was telling me that there's more mechanics after where I am that get introduced in the next saga, and it's like, I mean, like, what are we doing here? You're waiting until, like, what? You're not Monolith Soft, okay? You're not doing this very well. Like, like Monolith Soft does a good job of drip feeding mechanics, like layering that shit over the course of a game. Like, I don't think very many developers can do that very well. Like, why are you waiting until 2 sagas into the game for me to be able to use the Dragon Balls? Like, it's called Dragon Ball Z, you know? Like, is stupid, you know, and I haven't been able to do that yet. So I don't know. I'll have more thoughts as I play more. I do plan on beating this game, so I'll have some more thoughts next week. So what have you been playing, sir?
I've been playing. Oh my god, I've been playing a little bit of The Witcher 3. I think the last time we talked, I just hit Skellige.
Skellige, right?
So update on about that. Anyway, so I was informed to say that my girlfriend does like The Witcher 3. She thinks the games are really cool.
Okay.
I think last week I said that she didn't like them. So she told me to correct her.
Did she listen and she was like, "You're wrong"?
Yeah, she's like, I don't appreciate that you are spreading false information about me. I actually do like The Witcher.
She's gonna love this impression.
Yeah. But yeah, so she does like The Witcher. She watched me play it, and she says it's way less action than I normally play. So she only comes in.
Normally play? Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because you're playing like Devil May Cry or like Kingdom Hearts or something.
She comes in when I'm playing those games, but she never sees me playing like, you know,
Mass Effect or
yeah. So she doesn't know I really like those. I never showed her I like those games. I'm always playing like League of Legends, PUBG, or I'm always high octane action games. But she liked how slow paced it was because we were in the castle. I was in the castle area when you first get to Scalia, and you're with Yennefer, and she's like,
"Oh, that area is really cool."
Yeah, so she really liked, the dynamics, and I was making choices and things of that nature. And she's like, "Oh, this is." She didn't say it at the time. She was just watching me play, and then after like 20 or 30 minutes, she walked out the room. So I just assumed she didn't like it. But yeah, she's like, "I actually like that. I thought it was pretty cool." So I'm thinking about just letting her play The Witcher 3. I don't think it'll be hard for her to play.
Yeah. Well, you got to beat it first, bro.
No. What I'm gonna do, I'm probably gonna buy another console so we can play.
Okay.
I was thinking about buying the Switch version for it because I heard the Switch version is actually really good.
Do some research on that because I have heard it's good, like it's playable, but I've heard it's missing some content because it wouldn't work on the Switch.
Gotcha.
So do some research. I mean, it might not matter for her; she might not care, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so cause she asked about Skyrim the other day, and I told her Skyrim is
ass.
Well, I didn't say it's ass. I actually gave her an honest opinion. Like my opinion, Skyrim is ass.
I know I'm biased.
Yeah, I am too. So I was like, it's a pretty decent open world RPG. You can make decisions that influence the world, and you got a whole bunch of different races and factions. It's it's a little bit Game of Thrones esque, but on a way lighter note than Game of Thrones. It's not as political as it is, but the aspects are there. Another game I've been playing was KOTOR, and there's nothing really to say about that. I mean, it's just the mobile version. It's a direct port of the original game. I recommend to anyone who's trying to get into KOTOR. Then I've been playing Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind. So
yeah, you beat it this weekend, right?
I beat it this weekend. So let's talk about that. So I beat it this weekend, and I just downloaded it. I downloaded it on Sunday, and I beat it on Sunday. Yes.
Is that short?
Yes. It's 4 hours long.
4 hours?
4.5 hours long.
Okay. Do you think it was worth $30?
No, it's not.
Is it mostly cutscenes, that 4 hours, or?
Yeah. I'm including the cutscenes in there.
Man. Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Is that 4 hours like mostly cutscenes, or is there a lot of gameplay in there too?
No, there is gameplay. So what the game does, right? It's once you beat the game. So I'll tell you what the first half I was doing. The first half of what I was doing was I was getting the lucky emblems. I wanted to test out the patch and everything of that nature.
Right.
So patch 1.9 for Kingdom Hearts vastly improves this game. Holy shit. So first off, kudos to whoever did the frame rate. Now on a standard PS4, I can get 60 frames.
Wow.
And before you could only get 30. Exactly. That was my face too. You can get 60 FPS.
Dude, my game, I remember I told you like I had frame rate drops all the time and on the Pro when it was trying to hit 60.
Yeah, I get for the most part 90% of my gameplay, I was getting 60. It may drop down to like 50 or 40 maybe, but it never dropped down to 30. You can put it on it's something called stable mode. You can put it on that, and it's the flat 30.
Yep.
The Sora's combat has improved vastly. Like they fixed a lot of his animations. A lot of his animations actually hit. They fixed their hitboxes. A lot of the shit that I was complaining about, me being an action game person, that I was complaining about with the game. Yeah, I got all the lucky emblems, and then I was like, okay, and I got the Oathkeeper. So I was like, okay, I'm about to play the Remind DLC now. So in order to get the Oathkeeper, you have to beat the game again. So what I did was since I was already at the end and I didn't do the final battle, I just went back into space, did my lucky emblems, then came back and did my final battle. So technically I beat the game again. And I went through that final sequence. So thing about playing it back and back is the Remind DLC takes place. They have a separate menu that you can play called Remind, and it takes you right back to when the tornado hit.
Right.
So without getting any spoilers, it pretty much explains a lot of random shit that happens throughout that last 5 hours.
Like Terra's armor showing up and all that shit?
Explains all that.
The mobile players showing up?
It doesn't explain that.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, there's a lot of background shit that Sora was doing. So Sora essentially went back in time, and with his heart, and he was heart transferring himself through different places and everything like that. So, what you played on the base game, Sora already did all that.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense. Remind is explaining the events of why everything happened in the base game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's essentially doing
So it doesn't take place during the main game. It takes place after the main game.
No. It takes place during the main game, during the last 5 hours of the game.
It does. Okay.
It pretty much pulled a Final Fantasy 15.
Can you play it though? Can you play it like play in the main game, or you have to play it through the menu? Like, can you combine it into the main game if you want to do it that way? I haven't tried it
yet. I'm gonna see it through my critical run if that works. If that's what it is. But I just played it through that main menu. And you have the option to play as different characters. So when you're doing the gauntlet battles, you can play as Roxas, or you can play as Sora. You can play as Aqua, or you can play as Sora. You can play as Riku, or you can play as Sora. And then they do a sequence with Kairi and things of that nature, and explain how she came back and how Sora disappeared and all this stuff like that. And you can play as Kairi, which she actually plays pretty cool. Yeah, but that's the extent of the game. It explains all that, like all the complaints that we had about the story. The last 5 hours of the story, right? They essentially fixed it. They pulled a Final Fantasy 15 when Gladius goes off screen.
Okay. Do you think it's good though?
I think it should have been in the base game. It's definitely
no. I know, but if let's say it was in the base game, do you think that section of the game is good with what they added?
Yes.
Like, would you have felt satisfied with the story? Is what I'm trying to say.
Not the last 5 hours, yes. Not the.
I'm not talking about the Disney Worlds because I know they barely touched those.
Yeah. So what they showed me, yes, I would have been satisfied. Honestly, I would have been satisfied.
Interesting.
It does explain a lot of stuff. I wasn't confused afterwards. I did have a little bit of confusion, but I asked Dennis some questions, and he's like, remember this? Like, oh, yeah, that makes sense, blah, 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 blah. But besides that, you will understand the game, and a lot of stuff makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it was an experience. It was a Kingdom Hearts experience. I honestly felt like how I felt when I played Kingdom Hearts 1, when I was playing through that. Like, I felt like that little goosebumps. They gave you that goosebumps feel. Okay. It was very anime, but it was still like Kingdom Hearts in a way, too. And it just, a lot of the stuff made sense. So, I have my only complaint is we shouldn't have paid $30 for this. This should have been like $15 or maybe $10. Or
part of the game.
Or part of the game. But I'm just trying to make an argument because, how people feel about DLC. But it should have been. This should have been a part of the base game, though. Honestly,
I'm not gonna be too crazy about this because traditionally they would do final mixes for all these games. They've done that in the past, and usually those are like Monster Hunter games where you get the Monster Hunter Ultimate version or whatever, where you're paying full price for the game again for a modicum of content, basically, and I don't have a huge problem with the way they've done this. It's just frustrating that if the game was better, it's more acceptable, I guess. And maybe that's fucked up to say, but that's just how I feel. It's like I don't feel like you get to release a shitty game and then charge me $30 to make it an okay game, Yeah.
It's
like
I'm sorry, and it does add the data battles to it.
Yeah, the limit cut battles.
Yeah, the limit cut battles. So you can go back and fight all the data organization members and stuff like that, even some that you didn't fight.
Right.
You get to fight the Uraza guy, the video game that's within the video game. You get to fight that guy.
That's cool.
Yeah, so he has a whole little storyline and everything like that. So that's pretty cool. So if you want to attack on that, that's probably because you're not going to beat these bosses easily. So that's probably another 15, 20 hours because these bosses are really hard. You got to learn their patterns and stuff. And they did do a good job at designing the bosses.
Okay.
And,
I like that.
Yeah, around the new Sora. I feel like, a lot of his moves are viable against him and things of that nature. When I die, I feel like it's genuinely my fault because I'm like, I need to learn this. I need to learn how to use this certain sort of mechanic. So they did a pretty decent job at balancing the game. This is essentially Kingdom Hearts Final Final Remix 3 or Kingdom Hearts 3 Final Remix, Final Mix. Essentially, I just don't personally feel like it should have been worth $30. I feel like, especially with that ending part, that last 5 hours, they tacked on another 5 hours. So I say 10 hours to it. So the last 10 hours of the game, 5 of that should have been already in the game. Because it made a lot of sense. It connected a lot of dots.
Okay. As I said last week, I think I'm going to go back to this game someday. If they bundle, I'm sure they're going to bundle Remind with the game. Yeah, at some point. I don't know. I doubt it'll be that moment, but it could be a few years from now when I feel the itch to play Kingdom Hearts again. I don't know. I'll probably give this a shot, but as it stands right now, I don't have any desire to play that game again. I don't care if the combat's better. It's just
I understand.
I don't have a good feeling about it in me, and it's just I don't want to push that.
Yeah, if you don't really care about the gameplay, just watch the YouTube stuff. You'll get everything you need from it. Honestly,
yeah.
I mean, I will say that even though the combat's improved, they did, it still has the obvious flaws. There's too many enemies on screen. Enemies can hit you off screen. They need to fix some stuff like that, but that's like for a next game type deal. But overall, I enjoyed it.
Go on, finish your thought.
No, I'm saying overall I enjoyed it. I give it about a 7 or 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Well, the patch improves the game because I gave it like a 6. I think I gave Kingdom Hearts 3 like a 6 or something like that. I give it a 7 now. Oh, I gave it a 5. Okay.
We both gave it a 5. Yeah.
We both gave it a 5. I give it about a 6 or a 7 now. The Remind DLC, I'm giving that really low. I'm giving that like a 5 only because it's not. Only because of the price point. The price point is too high for what it is. But if it was way less money, like maybe $10, then yeah, I'd give about like maybe a 7 or 8.
Well, speaking of the next game, this is the segue I wanted to make. Nomura actually already talked about that.
Okay.
So he was interviewed last week, I think, and he answered a bunch of questions. So somebody asked him, are there plans for further updates or DLC? Quote, there are no plans for a hypothetical update as of now, but if issues come up, we will deal with it. Remind is to be the first and only DLC. We are already working on the next title. The title screen of Remind serves as a piece of foundation for it. And then he continued. He was asked another question. Will you tell us about any future plans for future Kingdom Hearts projects? Quote, we still need some time with regards to the mainline Kingdom Hearts, but first up, the Kingdom Hearts Union Cross team will have a surprising announcement, which this was already announced. It's called Project Xehanort. It's going to be a mobile game. I think it's about Xehanort, but I talked to Dennison about this. I was pretty upset about this because I'm like, a fucking Xehanort game, and you're going to make it a mobile game, bro? Come on.
I think it's going to be that shitty chess game they made.
So
that's what I think.
So annoying. Continuing the quote, we actually have two new teams in operation, and from them, one title will be coming surprisingly soon. So basically, it sounds like there's 3 new games in development. Well, actually 4, technically. One's a mobile game, and then 3 others, we don't know what they are. I'm assuming one is Kingdom Hearts 4 already. I think they've already started, because he basically said they've started development on the next game. I think the other 2 are going to be side games in line with Birth by Sleep or Dream Drop Distance, probably.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. That would be my expectation right now, which it's interesting that they're getting on this bandwagon again, because there was a huge gap between Dream Drop and Kingdom Hearts 3 of 7 years, where there were no Kingdom Hearts games. Basically. So it's interesting that happened, and I kind of wonder if they'll let it happen. I doubt they'll let it happen again because, dude, if you remember, Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 were only 3 or 4 years apart. It wasn't really that big of a time gap.
Yeah,
so.
they still came out within the same console generation. Yeah,
exactly. And that has not happened since. So,
yeah. I think with this game selling as much as it did, because it's still like on the top charts. In 1 year, Disney
sold 5 million in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so Disney either is like giving them more money to work with, like they're giving them like a budget or whatever, a bigger budget, or they just realize that this game is very lucrative. It's a very lucrative franchise. even though it's been put on rocks and everything like that for 13 years. I'm pretty sure when they ran into this game, they're like, no, probably the higher ups were like, no one's gonna buy this game. It hasn't been out for a couple, like 7 years, and they started seeing how fast the remakes or the masters were selling, and now they saw how much this sold. So I think we're gonna get another Kingdom Hearts game within the next 2 or 3 years.
Right. Yeah. No.
Mainline Kingdom Hearts game too. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think the next game could be 2023 sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
I think now that they're using Unreal, I don't think there's a reason why the development should take as long as it did for 3.
Yep.
And if he already has the story in mind, I think they're gonna go. I mean,
yep.
And I mean they have the game. The engine's made. Like they don't need to change the engine for the next console. Like it
can be easily ported. That's it.
Right. And I don't think they need to remake any models or anything like that. Really. Like the game was gorgeous as it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think it. So I don't know. So yeah, I think a new game could be coming real soon. Much sooner than we probably would expect as Kingdom Hearts fans. But all right, let's move on to our first story of the day. It is related to Pokemon. So this happened today. Nintendo has announced Pokemon Home, which had been teased prior to the launch of Sword and Shield, was going to be kind of the replacement for Pokemon Bank. And it is a service that is going to cost $16 a year versus the $5 a year for Pokemon Bank. And you are going to be able to... So there's 2 tiers for this. Basically, there's going to be a free tier and a premium tier. The premium tier is the $16 a year, and then the free tier, obviously, is free. So the free tier allows you to... So this is what you get with the tiers. So the free tier... You cannot move Pokemon from Pokemon Bank in the free tier. You can only have 30 Pokemon deposited. You can use what is going to be the Wonder Trade, basically in this. A version of the Wonder Trade is you can only have 3 Pokemon at a time placed in, quote, the Wonder Box at once. You can only have 1 Pokemon up on the GTS, which is the global trade station or service or something like that, I think. It's basically the trade service that was in the old games. You can only have 1 up at a time with the free version. You can participate in room trades, but you cannot host them, and you do not have access to what is called the judge function, which allows you to see stats and stuff like that, I guess. The premium version allows you to move Pokemon from Pokemon Bank, gives you up to 6,000 Pokemon you can store versus 30. You can have 10 Pokemon in the Wonder Box at once instead of 3. And you can have 3 Pokemon on the GTS at once instead of 1. You can also host trade rooms, and you get access to the judge function for $16 a year. So this has caused some consternation amongst the Pokemon community. We believe for good reason, and we'll get into that here in a second. But one thing that I just read here that I didn't realize is the basic version doesn't let you move Pokemon from Pokemon Bank. I didn't know that. That's fucking crazy. So they're giving everybody a free month of this, apparently, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with the premium version, right? They're giving everybody a free month of the premium version of this.
They're giving everybody. Yeah. If you have so what they said was Pokemon Bank and Pokemon Transporter are going to be free, not the home. They said in celebration of home, Pokemon Transporter and Pokemon Bank will be free, not Pokemon Home. So you still have to pay the premium version of Pokemon Home, but Pokemon Bank and Pokemon Transfer will be free.
Okay.
So after that 1 month, you will have to pay for Pokemon.
So they're basically
Bank.
allowing people to transfer their Pokemon from old generations for this first month for free.
Exactly.
And then after that, you will have to pay for both in order to do it.
Yeah, so if you buy the game, if you buy Sword and Shield in June, and you want to transfer your Pokemon from the Pokemon Bank from the older generations, you will have to renew your subscription for Pokemon Bank and then also get a subscription for Pokemon Home to transfer your characters or your Pokemon.
Sorry, I didn't say this. It's coming in February, so in this next month.
Yeah.
Within the next month, this is coming out. So, yeah, so this caused a lot of consternation with people for, like I said, for, I believe, good reason, because GTS is a function that has been in every Pokemon game since its inception in, I think it was 4th gen or 5th gen?
It was 4th gen.
It was 4th gen, right?
It was the DS version, right? That was the first DS game?
Yes, that was Diamond and Pearl, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and this service kind of expanded over time, but it was really integral to the games because it allows you to basically request specific Pokemon that you want from people and then post Pokemon that you have, and people will make those trades or not make those trades. And it's the fact that you have to now pay for that functionality is, I think, a really bad move for these guys. This is
why, bro. What are you talking about?
I feel like we've talked about this ad nauseum today, so I need to rediscover all my arguments because it's like it feels like a really lame way to charge people money. Like you're taking out features from a game and then charging a yearly subscription fee for those features that have been in the series for 4 generations. You know, it's like,
bro,
I don't
understand why you're getting mad. The developers need money. They worked on these games for a long time, and this is a business. And you just want them to give content for free?
He's playing devil's advocate. I mean, I know how you feel about this, but it's not this isn't content. Like anybody arguing that this is content is like fooling themselves. This is a service that they are making.
Gotcha.
Pokemon Bank is a service. It's not content. Content is the DLC and the season pass. That's content. This isn't content. Like I don't consider this content. Like this is a feature of the game, you know, right. Being able to trade Pokemon with other people. Yes, you can trade Pokemon with people, but it's such a skeleton version of what has been available in the past that it's like barely even.
Yeah, you can't post a certain Pokemon that you want.
There are no rooms. You have to directly link with the person you want to trade with.
You got to have their friend code, and besides that, it's random. It's completely random.
Or you do the surprise trade.
Or you do the surprise trade. So another point. I'm just playing devil's advocate here, bro. It's only $16 a year. That's barely $3 a month.
Right, and my argument to that has been that $16 a year is $4 less than the price of Nintendo Online, which, by the way, you also need for this. So you're saying that for $4 less, I'm getting basically features for a game that used to be in the games that they took out of the games, compared to Nintendo Online that gives you access to a catalog of free NES, Super NES games, and online access to every game in the Nintendo Switch catalog that has it.
But if it's not for you, then why complain about it? If it's not for you, why are you complaining about it? It's only $16.
That it's not about it. It's not about it being for me or any specific person, bro.
It says Pokemon Home is for free. Like you can get it there for free.
He's trying to get a rise out of me.
No, I'm these are the arguments I'm presenting.
I understand. No. I know you're playing devil's advocate.
Yeah,
you're doing a good job of it though, because I'm getting steamed. Because, dude, it's not about it being for me. Like this feature being for me. Tons of people are going to get taken advantage of. They're taking advantage of people. Like we were talking to our friend Andy at work, and he doesn't even give a shit. He's like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, I'll do this for $16." Like he's like excited to do this, and it's like I don't even think he thought about it because it's like he has to pay $16 for this, then he has to pay $5 for Pokemon Bank, then he has to pay whatever he needs to pay for Nintendo Switch Online, and he tried to rationalize it like, "Oh, I already have Nintendo Switch Online," but it's like, okay, not everybody does. Like, what about people who don't want to do Nintendo Switch Online and want to get their old Pokemon transferred? Like it's I don't know, like they're basically, you mentioned it, they're double dipping in the present right now.
They are double
because
dipping.
You have to have Pokemon Bank, which is basically this service, just the storage portion of this service on the old hardware, and you need to have that for $5, which you cannot pay for that monthly. And then you need to have this as well. So you need to pay either $16 or I think you can pay $3 for 1 month or something like. Yeah, for 30 days it's $3. So it's like you have to pay $8 to move your Pokemon from the old games to now. We've never had to do that before. Like they've always been transferable for free if you had the games already. Like because of the, I don't know.
Yeah, like you mentioned, like they turn functionalities into a microtransaction. I really like that. I really like that sentence, that phrasing, because that's essentially what they did. And this is dangerous because other companies can pick up on this.
Well, they can do this further. It's not just this.
Exactly. they can do it a lot further. They can start charging for Pokemon battles between people or something like that. So,
right.
I mean, they may
you want to be part of ranked Pokemon? Yeah, you got to pay for it. You know,
exactly. And I mean, we already demonized fucking Bethesda for Fallout First, right? Mm-hmm. Even though their pricing was obnoxious, $99 for a year or some shit like that. That was ridiculous. But it's the same thing. Even though this is only $16 a year, it's still the same thing. You're charging for basic functionalities because I believe Fallout First, you have a huge storage locker and
you get private servers,
and all that stuff like that. And a lot of those functionalities are already free on other games.
Those used to be free things, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, not the servers necessarily.
Not the servers, yeah. I understand that the servers, but
it's not $100 or whatever the fuck they're charging
maybe
for it.
$5 or something like that.
Yeah,
I know in Battlefield it was like $5 or $10 for
a
Battlefield
month,
3.
right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think honestly, since it's the Pokemon company, it's kind of egregious. But since
since it is the Pokemon company, a lot of people are making excuses for it at the same time, and I think a lot of the problem I have here is that when you start adding up the costs of everything, because let's take this at face value, right? Back in the day, let's go back to Gen 4, right? When this first started, you paid $40 and you got the whole experience. That was it. You paid $40 because that's what the game prices on DS were. Actually, was it even $30? I don't even know. I think it was
$39.99.
It was $40. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like you paid $40 and you got this really robust game. You got to do trading. You got to do all this shit online. All that was included in the game. You know, fast forward to now, and all of a sudden the base game costs $60. You have less Pokemon than you've ever had. You know, in terms of like percentages of the total number of Pokemon, you have less Pokemon than you've ever had in a Pokemon game. The animations aren't great on a lot of the Pokemon. The formula is not significantly changed. You know, as much as we like the game, it's still the same old Pokemon. It's not like the game is revolutionary for this franchise.
Yeah, exactly.
You're already charging $20 more for the fact that those blemishes are all there. And then you're going to have the gall to come out with this for $16 more a year so people can bring their Pokemon with you. Because, I mean, I understand they're giving away a free month for the first month, but how many people are going to even, take advantage of that? Dude, it's like they're not going to hit everybody, so somebody who's not paying attention is going to come back in 2 or 3 months and see this and be like, oh, fuck, man, I got to pay money to move my Pokemon? Like, this sucks. You know, it's like it's not a great situation for them to be in. But then it's like if you want I feel like you're going to have people who want a complete experience, so then you're going to have to pay $30 for this DLC package, you know, with the new DLCs, and I assume the content's going to be robust there, but still, it's like you're already asking people to fork over $106 for the full Pokemon experience, and then if you add the 5 from Pokemon Bank, you're at $111, and then you add the 20 from Nintendo Switch Online, you're at $131. It's like like where does it end? You know, it's like, what's next? What's the next thing they're going to charge us for? It's like you're going from $40 for your full experience, your full complete experience, to over $100.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean,
they're trying to turn a $60 game into a $70 game, $75 game. You know,
I'm sorry, but I don't think Pokemon is worth it. Like,
it's not.
It's always been a handheld game to me.
We're going to talk about this in a second, but a game just came out called Temtem, which apes their formula, and people like it, and it looks pretty good.
Yeah. They just need to work on the designs, but it's going in the right direction.
Right. So I can't get behind this, because another thing I want to bring up, too, is we haven't talked about this yet, is Pokemon Bank was supposed to be their solution going forward for storing your Pokemon, because people had too many Pokemon over the course of, 7 generations of games, right?
Yeah.
Naturally. So that was their solution to the problem, but for whatever reason, they decided that solution wasn't good enough at a certain point, and we're like, oh, we need to make a new one for the Switch going forward.
To be fair, this can be on your phone, so it's compatible with Pokemon Go. It's compatible with Pokemon Go, so you can use it on a mobile device, and it's compatible with Pokemon Eevee Let's Go and Pokemon Eevee or Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu.
But that's not what I'm getting at here. What I'm getting at is what's to stop them 5 years from now saying, "Oh, Pokemon Home isn't good enough anymore. We need something new for the next Switch console." You know,
Here's Pokemon
Pokemon Suite or Pokemon Hotel or something.
Yeah,
What's to stop them from doing that 5 years from now? And we go through this whole process again. You know, where you need to pay $16 for this now in order to transfer your Pokemon to the new thing that now costs $25 a year. You know, and it's like, I don't know, man. It's like I don't put it past them at this point. I think they would do something like that, and I don't think anybody's thinking about that. But I mean, it's in the back of my head, and if it happens, I'm gonna be blunt and tell you that this was obvious. Like, it feels like that's where we're going, you know. So I don't know. I don't love what they're doing. I don't love what they're doing. And to see a game like Temtem, which we heard about last week talking to Dennison, like, I looked at that game and I mean, dude, it's a Pokemon MMO. They're calling it an MMO, you know, and you can see other players and interact with other players out in the world, and it's like the game looks kind of alive, like compared to Pokemon, which is like stale and dead, and everybody just stands in the same spot all the time and like never moves around, and it's like, you know, it's like the game actually looks like it's like a living world a little bit more because it's an MMO, and I don't know, I might check it out, dude. I'm like considering it. I'm not gonna do it now, but when it comes out, I might give it a shot, you know. And if they did this formula well, then I mean, bye Pokemon, dude. Like, what purpose do I even have to play it?
And that's the scary part, right? I feel like this game, Temtem, if it does get released on Switch and consoles, they are going to have to up their game.
Which is in their plan.
The problem with Pokemon is they never had competition. People tried to come in and be their competition, but it never was Pokemon.
They never did it right.
Yeah, but now Temtem's coming out. It's actually riding the wave of this whole Sword and Shield controversy, and they're taking a lot of their core players. Like,
they're making the game that a lot of us have wanted from Pokemon. A Pokemon MMO is exactly what we've all wanted for years.
Exactly, yeah.
I don't know why it took Nintendo because I feel like they want to make Pokemon an MMO, but they've never gone all the way with it, with how much online functionality it has, and the fact that you've only ever been able to have one save file in your game. Like, that's still true.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, right. That didn't change with Sword and Shield, right?
No,
you could only have one save file.
I believe so.
Which that is an MMO kind of thing, you know? They're trying to make sure that you can't duplicate Pokemon, you know? So, I don't know. They better be careful. I think Temtem actually has the potential to really, like, shake things up in this genre. So, the name is stupid. Temtem is I don't get it. Maybe they explain it in the game, but it just sounds dumb. You know. But I don't know.
It is kind of catchy though, Temtem.
Temtem?
Yeah.
Temtem.
But yeah, I don't know, man. That's all I got on Pokemon.
Word. All right, let's move on to the next story. So we talked about Cyberpunk getting delayed last week, and there's kind of a rumor going around this past week that it is because the game did not run well on current gen hardware, specifically the Xbox One, which doesn't surprise me. I just feel like with the game they're trying to make always felt like it was next gen. But the thing I want to say about this that I find interesting is that I don't like the fact that they delayed it to September. I don't know why they just don't delay it to when the consoles come out, you know? Like, just make it next gen. Just say it's next gen, you know? Yeah. Just push it a couple more months, like 8 more weeks, and make it a next gen game, you know? But CD Projekt did come out actually and try to refute these rumors. They said, hold on, let me find the exact words. Quote, here we go. Of course we're optimizing for the Xbox One and for the PlayStation and for the PC because that's what you do in the last stretches of game development. While the game is made, lots of things are unoptimized because they're all in flux, changing, and still not finished, end quote. I mean, of course you're going to say that, but, like, I don't know. I don't know if this is true or not, but it feels like it's not unsubstantiated. Like, it's very possible the game doesn't run well on, current gen hardware. Because, dude, current gen hardware is fucking old, man. Xbox One and PS4 are old ass devices, man. Like, they're running on shit that like came out in like 2011, you know, like 2011 level hardware, you know.
That is true.
I think we're at the point where we gotta push past this, and It is really making me interested, though. Like, do I want to play this game at launch? Because I really think it's going to be day and date with the next consoles. And I might wait. I might just wait and play it on PS5, because it'd be a great launch game to play.
Yeah, it would.
So, you have any thoughts on it?
I'm just waiting to see when the game comes out. I'm waiting to see what they're going to announce, if they're even going to announce anything. Like, did they officially announce that's coming for next-gen consoles?
No, they haven't.
Yeah, I think they're going to reveal it at E3. Like, I think it's going to be at, like, either Xbox's press conference or maybe, I think it's going to be at Xbox's press conference. Or
Well,
not,
I've been thinking...
they did it last year with E3. They did it at Xbox's E3.
What I'm concerned about is they're going to try to wait until the game comes out to announce that and try to double dip.
Yikes. Yeah, they may do that. They may pull a Grand... but it worked with Grand Theft Auto.
It did work with Grand Theft Auto.
People bought it on the PS3, and then the PS4 wasn't even announced at that time when Grand Theft Auto came out, but they re-released it and people bought it. But I guess that is the difference in this scenario. This game is coming out right in between the generations because we got Xbox Series X coming out in November, and we don't know when the PS5 is going to be released. But I'm assuming
probably November or late
probably
October.
November as well, late October. So I don't know, man.
All right, let's move on. Next story. This one's an interesting one. So Nintendo was sued by a European court a couple years ago for their refund policy for pre-order digital games. The fact that they did not allow people to cancel pre-orders, basically. And actually, this happened this past week. They won the case. So they apparently are going to be continued. There is an appeal happening, but I doubt. We'll see if anything comes from that. But basically, they're allowed to continue not allowing you to cancel pre-orders on games on their digital platforms. And this is one of the worst because I'm pretty sure they're the only ones who do this. I don't think any of the other
everyone else
platforms
has some sort of like refund policy.
Well, no, I'm talking about pre-orders specifically.
Oh,
like,
pre-orders, yeah.
You can cancel pre-orders on all the other platforms.
I
as
believe
far as
you
I know.
can. Yeah.
Nintendo's the only one, and this is fucked up, dude. Like Nintendo doesn't allow you to if you click the pre-order button and you pay, you cannot cancel the pre-order. Period. Which is really messed up.
I think that's the wildest thing ever.
It's unbelievable and the fact that they won a court case upholding this basically is crazy to me.
I'm pretty sure because it's probably somewhere in the terms and conditions that this is it going forward.
Downsides of digital, man.
Yeah, man. A pre-order, like what if the game comes out and it's just totally not the game that you wanted? Like what if they release more screenshots, right? That it's still in the technically development, but like a week before it comes out, they're like, "Oh, we changed a lot of the game's mechanics and everything like that because it just wasn't working out." And it's like a fucking shell of what it's supposed to be. I should be, as a consumer, able to be.
We're good.
Okay, I should be able to cancel whatever I want to cancel. Like it's a pre-order.
Well,
and
it's a pre-order. You haven't played the game yet.
And the whole concept of a digital pre-order is bonkers to me. Right. No one has questioned this. And
I don't know. I just can't. I'm with you on this because you've said this before. It's like pre-orders were made because there was a short supply. It was intended to give you a guaranteed copy of something because there was the assumption that there were not going to be unlimited copies of it.
Exactly
of that thing. And there's plenty of products now that this applies to that actually, make sense for, but video games, particularly digital ones, are not one of those products. Like,
what are you gonna run out of codes, bro? Like, I don't understand. Like,
exactly, dude. Like
just generate more codes. Like,
right.
And no one's challenging this. I just don't get it. Like, even when like Call of Duty does and other video games. A lot of video games actually do this, even the ones I love. They do this digital pre-order bonus bull crap, and I never buy them, but no one else ever questions it, like, at all. And it's kind of annoying. Like, I don't know. It's just, I don't think it's... and then for Nintendo to actually have the gall and be like, yeah, you're not getting your money back, even if you pre-order it, My thing is, why y'all pre-ordering in the first place? Don't pre-order on any digital platform.
Well, I hope this opens your eyes to those of you who do this. Like, don't like what. Like, yeah, what are you pre-ordering for, man? Just buy it on release day, you know?
I mean, I understand the preloading, but bro, you can't wait like an hour, 2 hours. Most games take about 4 hours max to download.
You're very often not preloading until midnight anyways.
Exactly.
What are you doing pulling an all-nighter? Like, fucking, like, don't do that shit, you know? Just do it overnight while you're sleeping, you know? It's like, it's not worth it, man. It's really not worth it. So, I don't know. I don't get it. The fact that this was upheld is wild to me. Whatever laws they
European court, they're usually really, really
right. Exactly. In Europe is usually very pro-consumer with this stuff. So I don't understand how this was upheld. But again, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't understand the shit. Period. All right, let's move on to our next story. This one's probably the most exciting one for this week. There has been a rumor flying around that Knights of the Old Republic is going to be dusted off and potentially remade. EA might have already greenlit a remake. So I do want to preface this by saying that this rumor came from a single source, and they've actually reported this same rumor like 5 years ago, and it didn't turn out to be true. Like, it ended up getting changed. Like, they changed their mind and the game didn't go forward. So take that as you will. I think this has a very high likelihood of being true.
Yeah,
but
I do too.
I do think I've seen some good points brought up, though, as to why this might not be true. Because who's making this? Like, is it BioWare? Because they got a lot of shit on their plate right now, dude. Like, they only have 2 studios.
Big. Yeah, that team is pretty big.
I mean, you've got Austin, who is upkeeping Star Wars: The Old Republic, the MMO. Then you have, I think Austin is redoing Anthem.
Yeah, they are.
And supposedly that's all hands on deck. So who's making it? Because Edmonton is working on Dragon Age 4, and supposedly a new Mass Effect game is like in pre-pro. So
maybe the Respawn team.
No way. Because they got to be working on a Jedi Fallen Order 2, right?
I mean, I think the team is big enough now where they can. Well, he just took control of that other team. Yeah. Dice LA.
There are a ton of rumors about tons of Star Wars games in development right now for EA. So
the reason I think it's true is because there's another rumor also coinciding with this that they're remaking the KOTOR. They're making KOTOR movies or a TV show. Mm-hmm. So they could possibly want everything. Disney wants everything to come out like all in succession with each other.
Up,
yeah,
right,
exactly.
Right. Because if you're gonna make these in development alongside each other, you can do what they didn't do for the new trilogy, actually like line the stories up and
exactly.
Give them synergy together, you know, and kind of have this like blowout media for when they both come out at the same time. So I think it's an interesting idea. Now, obviously, Knights of the Old Republic, dude, is the best Star Wars time period, in my opinion. It's like my favorite concept.
It's a lot of Star Wars fans' favorite, time period. My only fear with this is I think I saw that article that said it was a reimagining. Mm-hmm. That's the term they used. And I am scared of the reimagining part. I wonder what stuff they're going to change, because reimagining means they're going to change lore around. They're going to change. I don't really care about the combat or anything like that. I mean, that kind of needs to be.
Well, they're going to make the combat good, because the combat is not really good.
It's not really
the original
good.
Game.
Yeah. But my most concern is like the writing and things of that nature. If there was some way for them to keep the same audio files and things of that nature and just update everything else, like I would be okay with that.
Well, okay. I told you this before. The likelihood of them doing what you just said is 0, because they need to fit this into current Star Wars canon. So they're going to make their own characters. They're going to make it fit the universe that they've created with Star Wars. So the likelihood of them not like not redoing the story is really, really low in my opinion. But I think that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I think as long as they keep to what the core of what Knights of the Old Republic is and actually tell a good story here, it's not going to matter. I think this is the fuzzy part of this rumor, because there's a lot of people saying that it's going to be a remake of the first game, and then other people are saying they're going to combine the stories for the first and second games and kind of make like a one big story for it. And then there's other people saying they're just like redoing the whole thing and it's going to be its own thing, not related to those games. It's like, so that part of it, I don't know. I do think this is a really likely project that is happening, but
the only reason I say, and I know a lot of people disagree with me, even you disagree with me, you and Jet disagree with me. I think they're going to tie in the online game to these games, and the online game is based off the old 2 games. Like they're based. That's what that game is based.
They can't do it. They can't do it because then they would be locked into that those stories as canon, and I just they've already expunged that shit. It's.
I don't know.
I just don't think it's possible, man. Like, I don't think they can do it. And unless they said that the Old Republic, as it stands, the MMO, is like cut off from the first and second game, I think that's the only way it would happen. You know? So I don't know. I mean, this is exciting. I've never finished Knights of the Old Republic myself, but you know, it's similar to Mass Effect in the way it's structured, especially in terms of the way the conversations play out and stuff like that. So I think it's a really cool concept of a game that I would love to see made in the modern day. Because this is what I want out of a Star Wars game, is like an RPG, you know?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it will be cool, but I think they're gonna figure some way to put that SWTOR in there, because just think, if people get interested in this game again, or Knights of the Old Republic, you already have a standing MMO platform that's ready to go. You already have it.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about it from a money standpoint. You already have it.
Does EA care about that game, though?
I mean, it's still up. It's been up for a while.
That's true.
It's still up. So they made the expansion for it like 2 years ago.
Yeah. I don't know. I just disagree with you. I mean, it's possible, but I don't think they'll do it that way, personally. But anything else you have to say about this game?
No, that's it.
All right, let's move on. We got a few more stories here. So next one, this is a interesting one too, is Rocket League. So Psyonix has announced that they are dropping Mac and Linux support for Rocket League, and those versions of the game are going to be shutting down in March 2020. And so to go along with this, they are basically encouraging people to ask for refunds through Steam, essentially, for this if you're on those platforms, and citing the fact that they're shutting those versions of the game down. So they're going to refund people their money for those games. But dude, this one's they basically cited, because they're upgrading the game to 64-bit on Windows, and they're upgrading it to DirectX 11 as well. And they said that along with that and what they want to do for the future of the game, they just cannot justify supporting those two platforms, because it would be too difficult for them to keep them up with the PC version of the game going forward and the other versions of the game going forward. So they have to and they also said that only 0.3% of the player base plays on those two platforms. Gotcha. So they're like, it's just not worth it for us to even do it. So while I'm not going to get down on them for it. I think this is just another example, though, of the downsides of digital, is that if you had this game physically, obviously, there are no physical games on Mac and Linux, but let's just say this was like PlayStation or something like that. If you had the game physically, you might be able to play certain parts of it, because there are single player aspects to Rocket League. They're not huge, but they are there. So I don't know. It's just one of those things. Like, we're going to have another story here in a few minutes, is that this shit with these live games just doesn't last forever, with this stuff. Like, these games are never going to last forever. Even Rocket League, as popular as this game is, it's not going to last forever. Like, it will end at some point, So keep that in mind as you dump money into the microtransactions and buy new cosmetics and, pay for loot boxes and shit, is that this shit doesn't last forever, man. Like, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
And when it's gone, it's gone. You don't get to keep that shit. Like, it's not yours. So
I do have one point to make about our last topic. I'm sorry, I just discovered this.
He's been
No, no,
looking
no,
at
no, no, no,
he's
no.
been looking at his laptop the entire
No, no,
time I
no.
just talked.
No, I was
So go
I was
ahead, make
listening
your
to you
point.
though.
Make your
But
point.
as of October 2019, Star Wars: The Old Republic MMO has made over $1 billion in revenue.
Okay. It's
Yeah,
been out since 2012.
yeah, but they made their money back and more.
I mean, $1 billion is $1 billion. They also did put like 500 million into the development of that game.
200 million.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it that low? Because I remember it being a lot more than that.
No, that's what the budget says. The budget was 200 million.
Okay.
It
Everything
was
in
at
that game was voiced.
Yeah, they did say that this is one of the most expensive games at the time when it was made. It was one of the most expensive MMOs ever made.
Okay. Interesting.
But yeah, sorry about that. I just had to point that out. I was kind of blown away by that actually, but
yeah. All right, well, let's move on to our next story. This is just kind of a note here. So Rockstar announced today, day of recording, that GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2 have reached a combined 150 million sales milestone, and that apparently GTA 5 is responsible for more than 2/3 of that total number. So they've sold well over 100 million copies of that game.
this game will not die.
Fucking
Jesus.
insanity, man. Like, to me, this is bonkers. Like, I just, like, that is insane number of copies. 150 million. Like, think about if they sold all those for $10 a piece. That is $1.5 billion that they made if they sold them for $10 a piece, which they didn't. A large chunk of those are probably $60. You know, I'd say the average is probably in the 30 to 40 range over the years, particularly for GTA 5. You know, 30 to 40 range. So I mean, you're talking like billions of dollars off of these two games.
I bought GTA 5 and I like the story, but God, I just do not see it. I don't see it.
Mm-hmm. Me either, dude.
But I mean, it's not for me to see. I guess. I mean, everyone loves these games. I'm glad they love them. I mean, they're developed well, so we can't really complain about that. I mean, they are polished in what they do.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and say they're bad games.
Yeah,
they're just not for me. They look boring to me, but
yeah, they're not for me. But they are the quintessential of a good game. These are really good games. They fulfill their audience. They don't really price gouge their audience. I mean, they do have microtransactions on Grand Theft Auto Online and Red Dead Redemption, but you never really hear it about being egregious, you know?
Yeah, but are these people like Madden people? Because that's what I think of when you say that. You know?
Okay, yeah.
Is this audience basically like the Madden audience where they don't
they just
care?
accept it? Yeah,
they just eat it up. You know? That's kind of what I think. I think the GTA audience is separated from the rest of the gaming world, just the same way sports gamers are. Like,
yeah, you're right. That they do have their own fan base, like their own subsection of gamers.
Right.
'Cause I know people who play nothing but GTA. They don't play sports games.
I do too. Like, dude, my brother-in-law, he plays all of Rockstar's games, and that's like all he plays. He plays GTA and Red Dead Redemption online and shit. Like, I'm like, dude, I mean, whatever floats your boat, dude. You know?
Hey, yeah, I didn't think about it like that. Wow, maybe they are their own sports game thing.
Basically. Which is why we never hear about it, because nobody in mainstream media plays these games. Like, they play them like their single player component, but they don't play the multiplayer, and they don't play it for years. You know,
well, this was the first game to have a really robust multiplayer. I think GTA 4 did have some multiplayer, but it wasn't like this. It wasn't like a MMO-ish type, Destiny type.
Well, dude, it wasn't even out when the game came out, right?
Yeah, it came out after the game came out.
It came out like the year after, right? In March or some shit, and it was
it came out a couple months. I remember it being a couple months.
Wasn't it a disaster though? It was like really bad.
Oh yeah, it was really bad.
Then, until like Heist came out or whatever. That's what I remember. And then it was like, and then after that, it's been nothing but like craziness with this game.
Yep.
You know, so yeah, Rockstar's an insane company.
But each game they come out with, man, they put a ton of work into it in detail, and you can tell they actually love the games they're making. So, like I said, I can't complain because they people get their money's worth. Like, it's not like a Madden situation or a 2K situation where it's the same recycled garbage every year.
Right. All right, let's move on. This is a sadder story. So there's this little game called Duelist. Duel YST is how it's spelled. And this was a kind of a CCG game in the vein of like Hearthstone and, you know, the Magic the Gathering Arena and all that stuff. But it was kind of its own spin on it, where there was a combat grid where you summoned your units and you had to, like, you know, strategically move your units around and fight your opponent's units and kill their commander or whatever who was on the battlefield. Well, this game is shutting down next month. And I just wanted to bring this up because this game actually was one that I personally played. I thought it was a really cool game. I thought it was a really unique take on the CCG formula, the like digital CCG formula. I thought it was a lot better than what I felt like Hearthstone was. Like, it was a lot more fun to me than those games because there was like a real different element to it in terms of the strategy, like the moving your units around and stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm just sad to see this news because the game, as far as I know, has only been out 4 or 5 years, and you know, I played it for a bit when it came out, and I thought it was a really cool game, but I guess it just it never like broke through the way that, you know, Hearthstone did, and, you know, some of these other ones did. So it's tough to break into that crowded genre, but it's closing down on February 27th. So I mean, I imagine if you want to check it out before then, you still can. There will be no more microtransactions. You won't be able to buy the premium currency in the game anymore, but I think you can earn premium currency in the game, though, by playing. So, you know, you might be able to do some stuff in it. Worth checking out. But farewell, Duelist, I suppose. All right, let's move on. Next one. Next story, we got some game announcements here. So this one's a big one, dude. Like, this is a really underrated, probably, is how big this is. So the company that makes Torchlight Frontiers, their name are... what is their name? I don't know what the name of the studio is. But so Runic Games originally made Torchlight 1 and 2, and they shut down in 2017, and another studio got the rights to Torchlight and decided to make a game called Torchlight Frontiers, which was going to be a free-to-play, shared world, kind of MMO-ish version of Torchlight. And they've been developing that game for a while. Well, those developers came out and said this week that they are basically scrapping Torchlight Frontiers, and they're going to be turning the game into Torchlight 3. So they're going to be making a single-player version of Torchlight, a sequel to the Torchlight 2, and it's going to be an ARPG like the other two games were. And I don't know if they're going to be able to live up, I guess, to the other two games, but I'm sure this is a big deal. This is going to be a big deal in the ARPG community because we have a lot of games that have come out right now, but we haven't had anything new in the genre really in a few years. So besides like Grim Dawn and, you know, Path of Exile, and then you have like Van Helsing, and Warhammer just came out with their own one like last year, I think. But there's not a ton of like new blood in here. So, and Torchlight's not new blood, but, you know, it's a franchise that we all assume was dead is now coming back.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm sure this is really exciting for a lot of people. And the studio is called Ectra Games. I don't even know how to say that. That's
Ectra.
Ectra. Something like that. So yeah, they did say they're going to be folding a lot of what they've developed already into this game. So I think this could be coming sooner than we probably imagine, honestly. So,
yeah, and they said it will sell on Steam this summer for an undisclosed price.
Oh, this summer, okay.
Yeah.
Damn, dude. Yeah, so that is soon. Did you ever play Torchlight 2?
No, I just remember it being one of the big three came out. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Diablo, Torchlight, and Path of Exile.
Yeah, and then I honestly forgot about Torchlight until you just mentioned it today for the pre-show. So, right. Yeah, this game was essentially dead for a minute.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to the next one. This is a minor one, but came out of the blue. This was announced yesterday. So Sony announced Patapon 2 Remaster like 2 years ago at E3, and then they kind of went radio silent about it until now. They literally said that the game's coming out January 30th, which is Thursday. So by the time you hear this, the game will already be out on PlayStation 4 digitally. So Patapon, for those of you who don't know, is a kind of a rhythm-based side-scrolling game. You kind of lead this like band of these things called Patapons, and you have to like guide them through levels using, I think, like rhythm notes and stuff like that. And you end up fighting a lot of bosses and stuff, and I think you have to like build up a settlement and stuff like that, a Patapon settlement, and you make like a party and things like that. So this game always looked really cool. I've never really tried it. I probably won't, but it is a really interesting game. In this series, the two of these games, or three of them actually, were on PSP, and people love these games. So I don't know if that sounds appealing to you. Give it a shot. Did you ever play Patapon?
No, I never played it.
Any interest in this?
It looks interesting. I might buy it when it's on sale or something like that.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our last story for this week. This one isn't I wouldn't say it's big, but it's big in a way. So we all remember how Phantasy Star Online 2 was announced for the West finally at Xbox's E3 press conference last year. And that was
people
one of the
were pissed. What
a wild announcement that was. Just thinking about that is like crazy, dude. And it's even crazier because it seems like Sega announced that there's going to be a closed beta coming on February 7th, and it's going to be for one day. It's going to close on February 8th. So you're going to have
is so protective of this IP.
They really are. You're going to be able to play it for 1 hour and
what?
1 hour. 1 day. Sorry, 1 day. 24 hours. 1 hour. You can get through the prologue level. No. You're going to be able to play it for 1 day, and then it will close until the game comes out, I assume. But they haven't announced an actual release date yet. It's still spring 2020, vaguely. But this closed beta, I don't really know what it's going to be for, per se. They haven't said, but I'm sure it's just to get people a taste of the game. But it's going to be exclusively on Xbox One, the beta is. So they have not announced other platforms for this game either. So I'm kind of at the point where I feel like this game is going to be an Xbox exclusive.
I mean, like I said, the Phantasy Star Universe was an Xbox exclusive for the 360. So they already have a previous relationship there, and I think they're going to try to continue capitalizing on that. I think
it'll be on PC too. I would be really surprised.
It's already on PC.
No, I know, but I mean the English version will be on PC.
Oh no! Yeah. Wait, it says it right here in the trailer. Online with online combat with crossplay. So
crossplay with what? Does it say with what?
I'm assuming PC.
Okay, because it hasn't been announced for PS4, and I would imagine if it comes to PS4, it's going to be like a year later or something like that. So, but I mean, this is a big deal. This game's been around for 8 or 9 years, I think, at this point, and people have been wanting this in the West for so long.
To the point where people were making Japanese accounts and everything.
I did it.
I did too.
I did it, man. I played it for a while too. I put a lot of time into it, and it's a fun game. It's just like I don't want to play it with like a fan translation. I want to play an official version of it. So, I mean, dude, even if this is Xbox exclusive, I'm probably gonna check this out. Like, I'm probably legitimately gonna play this. So, I'm looking forward to it at least. So, all right, let's move on to game releases. So, as I said, Patapon is coming out this week on the 30th. Warcraft 3 Reforged is out today, day of recording. I'm downloading it right now. Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire, is coming on consoles, PS4 and Xbox One. That is also out day of recording, so by the time you hear this, it's already out. Let's see. Anything else jumping out to you, man, this week?
Not really.
Next week, we have Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game 3. Are you excited?
Wait, what? What is it?
Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game 3.
Oh, man. Get cancer all over again.
Dude, the videos of the one from last year or 2 years ago, I don't even remember, from 2 years ago are hilarious. Your character would just fly off their bike and shit. It was just hilarious stuff. Like, super funny. There's also this one, The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing is coming on PS4. So this is actually an ARPG in the vein of like Grim Dawn and Diablo.
Okay.
So this is one of those other ones that's been out in recent years. So I've heard good things about it, but I've never actually tried it myself. And that's really it, man. There's a lot of games coming out, but not a lot kind of piquing my interest, I guess.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a slow week for me, or It's gonna be a slow couple of weeks for me. The next game I'm looking forward to is
yeah.
For a while, the next game I'm looking for is like maybe Yakuza Remastered, but even then I'm still just gonna
Mega Man Zero, man.
Yeah, Mega Man Zero.
Byleth comes out today.
Oh, you talking about for Smash?
Yeah.
Nah, I'm good.
He's coming out today, man. You don't want to take part in that?
Nah, I'm good.
All right. Well, that is going to be it for us, guys, I believe, this week. So if you like this episode, please like the episode, review the show, rather, and subscribe to the show and wherever you're listening to it, whatever feed you're listening to it on. And please share it with your friends. We're looking to grow the audience. We really would love to grow the audience. So, we want to interact with you guys. So if you would like to interact with us, though, you can do so on Twitter. Montrell is at iTrap for the Hokage. That is the number 4, not the word. I am at ThunderNut01, and the show is at The Players Take. You can send us questions on Twitter, or you can also email us to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. And that's going to be it for us. Next week, I don't know what we're going to be talking about. Supposedly, the Sony reveal for the PS5 is maybe imminent, maybe not imminent. So we'll see what happens there. Depending on things, we may move our recording day around to accommodate that, but that doesn't matter to you guys. So, but that's going to be it, guys. We hope you enjoyed this one, and we will see you on the next one. All right. Bye, guys.